Today, you're going to hear an agent with a top real estate coach doing a coaching session, and you are going to get coached along the way in real time. How cool is that? Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now, and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and of course for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide. I'm your host through this show. And in just a moment, we're going to be speaking with Brent Scott from The Locker Room and Melanie Miller from Keller Williams. There's a coaching session you're going to get to hear that we filmed live with our webinars that we're doing every single month. By the way, before we get to that, you are going to also get benefit from listening to this coaching session because there is a process that Brent, is going to walk Melanie through that you can be walking through yourself at the same time. There's a PDF we want you to download. It's in the show notes. It's called the Agent Wheel. If you can't find it, let us know. We'll get it to you. And you can follow along with Melanie and figure out what part of your business needs the most improvement and what you could actually do to increase the skill you have in that area. So please don't just listen, grab a pen and paper. If you can't print out the agent wheel, just pull it up on your phone and write it down on a piece of paper. This is going to be so awesome. You can't believe it. As always, please tell a friend about our podcast and our episodes. This is the best way you can help us grow. Now, one more thing. This was recorded last month for our live webinars that we're doing monthly, and we're so excited because we get to interact with you, the audience, in real time. You get to watch real time. There's community that happens, and we really encourage you to check it out. We've got another one coming up this March 25th, so go to keepingitrealwebinar.com. It's normally $49, but for you, my podcast audience, you get it for free because we have sponsors, and they pay the bill for you. So all you have to do, go and register, and you're going to use the promo code PODCAST. Promo code podcast should bring that cost down to zero. And get signed up. We have limited seats. It's March 25th from 12 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, March 25th, March 25th, 12 to 3 p.m. and promo code podcast. And remember, limited seats and keepingitrealwebinar.com is where you go to sign up. All right, guys, let's get to it. The coaching session with Brent Scott and Melanie Miller. All right, everyone, welcome back. Wasn't that a great session? Danielle is amazing, and she showed up when she was sick and gave us such great advice, and I hope you got a lot out of that. We will have, again, a recording of that you can listen to, and we're also going to make it an episode. We're going to make all of these sessions episodes on the show, so you'll have an opportunity to listen to them there, but we will be sending out the videos in the next week, so if you missed any of that, you definitely want to go back and watch. We're ready for our next session. So this is a really exciting session. We did this last month and it was a huge hit. And so I want everybody to look into the chat right now. I put a link to something called the Agent Wheel. Put that on your desktop if you can. And we're going to you're going to be following along. And Coach Brent is going to sort of talk about how to do this. But let's introduce our next presenter. We have Coach Brent Scott from The Locker Room. By the way, The Locker Room website, tlrnation.com. You can learn more about their coaching programs and learn more about what Brent and his team does. And we will have a link to that here in the chat. And I'm sure we'll be sending that out to you after the presentation as well. But let me tell you more about Brent Scott. Now, Coach Brent Scott made a bold career shift in 2003, leaving behind a senior retail management position to venture into the world of real estate. Like many aspiring agents, he faced initial challenges and exited the industry within a few years. Within 2 years. Now, undeterred, Brent relocated to Florida in 2005 and made a triumphant return to real estate, obtaining his broker's license. Despite navigating the turbulent market crash, if we're old enough, we remember, of 2007 to 2008, he persevered and took a leap of faith by establishing his own brokerage in 2009. Although the venture encountered setbacks and ultimately failed in 2010, Brent refused to be discouraged. He regrouped, honed his leadership abilities, and embraced a mindset of learning from failure. Boy, we can all relate to that. 2017, Brent dedicated himself to coaching real estate agents full-time, launching a highly acclaimed coaching program in Northwest Florida. Notably, 80% of his clients were fresh faces in the industry, and under his guidance, they collectively earned over $1 million in gross commission income in 2019. Now, presently, Brent holds the esteemed position of national coach and trainer at the Locker Room Real Estate Coaching Company. He shares his expertise through engaging continuing education workshops and provides personalized coaching to offices and agents nationwide. Additionally, Brent collaborates with approximately a dozen real estate brokers, owners, and team leaders, leveraging his insights to help them amplify the growth of their organization. Brent is also a fractional CEO of a prominent real estate brokerage here in Chicago. To learn more about Brent's offering, tlrnation.com. We also are going to have an invitation for you to schedule some time with Brent. Schedulewithbrent.com is that website. We'll have that in there, and Brent will tell you about sort of how to do that going forward. And before we bring Brent on, I'll also talk about who Brent is going to be speaking to today. So this is really exciting for me. This is my first opportunity sort of getting to see this woman who is incredible here in Chicago. She's made a huge splash, relatively new to the industry, and really is just absolutely crushing it. Her name is Melanie Miller. She is with Keller Williams One Chicago here in the city. So let me tell you more about Melanie. Now, Melanie Miller, who is known as Mel Mill, she's a top producing Chicagoland realtor specializing in multifamily investment properties. She purchased her first multi-unit at 23 and now owns and manages 10 real estate doors. A former Division I volleyball player, she brings the same drive and dedication to real estate, earning top industry accolades, including the National Association of Realtors 30 Under 30. She's a co-founder of the EUME Group with Unique Gill. Melanie helps build wealth through real estate. She also takes a stylish approach to marketing, blending her passion for fashion and beauty into her brand. While not working, she enjoys family time, traveling, and attending sports events. I want everybody to follow Melanie at Melanie. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. It's Mel Mill underscore the real realtor. I'll put that in the chat. We're gonna follow her there. You don't have to type it out. I'll put it right there for you. And welcome both Brent and Melanie. Welcome. Let me just make sure you guys are unmuted.
Thanks, DJ. Good to be here.
Hi
Great to
guys.
see you. Hey, all right. I will let you two take it from here. Before we get started, guys, go into the chat, download the agent wheel. That is a process that Coach Brent is going to be walking Melanie through. By the way, Melanie, no stranger to being coached as a as a former athlete, so she's going to have a great time through this. I will let you two take it and enjoy.
Well, thank you, DJ. And Mel, it's great to meet you.
Hi Brent, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Tell me, what would you like to get out of this conversation today?
I would say when it comes to my approach to real estate coaching, I actually love when people point out holes in my business, um, and show me how to fill those holes, right? So I would say I want you to pick me apart a little bit.
Pick you apart. Okay. And why is that? Why do you find value in that?
I find value.
Mel, you just went on mute.
Okay, the host muted me. I don't know. Okay. No, I was going to say, I feel like when we always kind of know when we're doing the right things, because if we're doing it right, then we're going to see the results. But you may not even realize that what you think you're doing right may be wrong. And it can stop you from jumping to that next level, right? So I always think about volleyball, my volleyball career. I was, great athlete. I could hit the ball hard, but no one was picking apart like, hey, your arm swing really should improve this way because I was still hitting the ball hard. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how I approach, real estate and what I would like to see in a coach perspective.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that I'm going to bring you a little bit of value today, or at least I hope to. That's my intent. And for
Amazing.
everybody else, this is an exercise that if you've downloaded the worksheet through the chat, you can follow along with yourself. Um, the intent of this exercise or this conversation is really to help identify just that. It's help identify gaps. And the most important reason that we want to identify gaps is because number one, we all have them, right? Mel, do you have a couple of gaps in your business that you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a, do you probably have a couple that you don't even recognize yet?
More than likely, I'd say.
Yeah, and so it's number one, finding the gaps, but number two, and what I find is most important, is prioritizing the gaps because there's so many things that we can work on in our real estate business all the time that if you work on too much, you don't really move the needle a whole lot in any particular area.
Hmm.
And vice versa, if you work on something really intentional and really intently for a short period of time, you can oftentimes have a pretty radical impact on your business. So that's why I like to have this conversation. Mel, I'm going to ask for a couple of things from you. I'm going to ask for a little bit of transparency.
Sure.
I'm going to ask for a little bit of vulnerability.
My easy part.
And above all, as my hat says, be you and be real, right? Just candid it is. We've all got gaps. And so I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to dig a little bit into yours. Okay.
No
So
problem.
let's jump right in. Mel, did you see the last session or have you seen the agent wheel before?
I have not seen the agent wheel before, so this is new to me.
So let me share with you, Mel, the agent wheel. The agent wheel breaks down a real estate agent's business into four main quadrants: productivity, growth, systems, and profitability. And then within each one of those quadrants, there are three main components of your business that have the largest impact or influence. And so, what I'm going to ask you to do is as we go through each 12 of these components of your business, I'm going to ask you to rate your business as it sits today on a scale from 1 to 10. Now, 1 means needs major improvement. There are no zeros. And 10 means you have it mastered. There is no way to get better. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to ask you to rate each one of these sections. We're going to maybe dig into a little bit deeper some of these different areas, and we're going to see if we can identify some gaps. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's start in this productivity quadrant. And so that the first section of the
Oh,
productivity
Brett,
quadrant.
we got you on the wrong screen there. We gotta see if you can switch to the agent wheel.
Oh, my apologies. We on the right screen now?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So when we talk about lead generation, this probably makes a lot more sense now that you can see it. When we talk about lead generation, we talk about lead generation as an entire system. So we talk about how effective is it? How much does it, what are your results? What are your return on investment? How leveraged is it? How systemized is it? How consistent is it? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your lead generation as a system?
I would say about a 7.
Tell me what a 7 looks like in lead generation.
A 7 looks like for me, I'm bringing in a lot of leads, but the system in which I filter through the leads and ensure that the leads are being followed up with could use a little bit of cleaning up.
So you say filter and follow up. What do you mean by filter?
So again, the way I go about garnering leads is they come very frequent, but when that happens, you have to do a more like honed in version to make sure, okay, is this just someone who wants to just hang out with me? Is this just someone who is probably never going to turn into a true client? Basically, again, like the filtering system to make sure that the lead I'm bringing in is actually someone that's going to either transact with me or refer me to someone that will transact with me.
Excellent. Excellent. And how many lead generation levers do you have?
I have pretty much one main source of lead gen,
And what is that?
social media.
Social media. Love it. Okay. Let's talk about time management. So time management is more than time management, it is priority management. And so when we think about time management, we think about do you use a calendar? Is everything on your calendar that you're responsible for? Do you time block? Do you have an ideal daily or weekly calendar? If I looked at your calendar today, would it reflect your priorities? And if I looked at your calendar for the last 2 weeks, what would it tell me your priorities were? So scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your time management?
4.
4. Talk to me about a 4 in time management.
So I managed to get everything done, but I am inherently a people pleaser. So it makes it a little bit harder for me to put up those hard boundaries when it comes to my time. Um, I also am not a huge calendar user, which is funny because I used to be so schedulized and like even as a child I had like a planner. Um, but I'm transparent, right? It gives me a little bit of anxiety sometimes to look at a calendar and see the full, like, oh my God, it gives me anxiety. So I just don't put it on a calendar. Now, this event, for example, made it to my calendar because I'm like, hey, this is my hard, like, this is what I have to get done for today. But everything else, sometimes I allow to be a little bit more fluid and flexible.
Okay. And what would need to happen in order to move that from a 4 to a 6?
Hard boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay. Boundaries around what?
What is a working time versus like, oh, I can make it work. I can accommodate. And instead of me saying I can accommodate whatever time, I'd like to see myself be more like, I'm available at this time and this time. Does this work for you? If not, let's figure out a time that will work, for my schedule as well.
Aha. So appointment slots.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Let's talk about referrals. So referrals are opportunities that are presented to you from other people, from your sphere of influence, from your vendor partners, from other agents. When I talk about referrals, I don't just talk about do you get them or do you get a lot of them. I talk about the system behind referrals. How do you ask for them? How do you present referrals? How do you promote referrals? How do you follow up on referrals? And how do you thank people for the referrals that they get? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your referrals as a system?
I'd like to say I'm probably at about 9 on that one.
9. Tell me about a 9 in referrals.
So majority of my clients, if not 100% of my clients, have referred me to someone else to transact with. But I don't just take it again from the perspective of like clients, buyers, and sellers. I have a very strong referral network from my lenders, from my attorney partners. You know, people really trust in what I do, and they refer their business, they refer me, right? Now, when I get the referral, it's also about like, oh my gosh, how did you come across me? I like to give also like client giveaways sometimes, like ask them for the referral. I'm heavy on like no one's going to give you something if you don't ask for it. So I will strategically ask my clients for a referral. If they know, hey, if you know anyone else that's looking to get a multi-unit and become a landlord like you, I would love to have a conversation with them. When it comes to again my lenders refer me heavily because I'm giving them a lot of quite a few referrals, but also they know that the service level that I'm going to provide to that referral is something that's going to reflect well on them as well. So I always follow up with all referrals. I'm sure to thank my clients when they give me a referral. And so I would say that my system around referrals is pretty strong.
Why did you decide to create such a strong referral system?
I saw the value, right?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I mean that's the best way. I would say that has been my most um profitable uh way into the business was the referrals.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
You don't have to sell yourself when somebody else has sold you and referred you
Yeah.
to an opportunity.
Hmm.
That's awesome. I like it. Okay, so that gives us a productivity quadrant score of 21. Let's move into growth. So, as a function of growth, database is one of the most important components of the business. So, when we talk about database, I don't just talk about do you have one? I don't just talk about is it in a CRM? We're talking about how do you interact with your database? What's the health of your database? Do you know the addresses of all the people in your database? Do you engage with your database on a regular basis? Scale from 1 to 10. How would you rate your database?
I would rate an 8.
8. And what does an 8 look like?
So for me, you mentioned something great, which was a daily follow-up. Sometimes people look at social media as a lead gen, which it is, but truly my social media is me interacting with my database on a daily basis. I can go to their Facebook, oh my God, you just had a birthday. Even without having to remember it, I can see it. Facebook is going to tell me. Um, I just got a new dog. I'm having an event at a dog park. Come on out, bring your dog. I'm going to be able to see, oh, you like dogs from your social media, right? From your Facebook. So again, that's giving me a daily touch point with my database, with my social media. I also like to do, like I said, client giveaways. I You'll see me on social media like, hey, I want to give someone $100 to go to a restaurant that they love. I'll do those sporadically throughout the year. I do handwritten notes to my clients and send out like little Starbucks gift cards. I also make sure I'm tracking my database frequently, right? So I go at least probably once a week and go through all the people that I've come in contact with and kind of just follow up and say, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Just want to see what's going on. I am actively working my database on a pretty much daily, if not weekly, like schedule.
Awesome. 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 Let's move into vendor partners. So you mentioned lenders and you mentioned getting referrals from some of your vendor partners previously. When we talk about vendor partners, I'm not just talking about your list of preferred vendors or those 3 names that you give out every time somebody asks you for a reference. I'm talking about the vendors that are truly partnered with you. I'm talking about they have expectations of you, you have expectations of them. I'm talking about the collaboration, the providing resources, whether it be time, money, or otherwise, the system of showing them appreciation, the system of replacing them when they need to be replaced. Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your vendor partners?
Definitely a 9 on that one.
9 on the vendor partners. Tell me about your vendor partner system.
I run a tight ship and they run a tight no. So actually this year Yumi Group has launched something unique, I would say, as it pertains to getting in front of our database on a monthly basis. So within that, we've asked our vendor partners that we've been giving our business to for the last 5 or 6 years to have a more active approach to how they continue to help us grow the database and work the database, right? So at the beginning of the year, we let our vendor partners know what our goals were and how we want to see them be a part of those goals. It's more than just, oh, can you give us $500 so we can do this? No, we want our vendor partners to be present. We want our vendor partners to be relatable. We want our vendor partners to be active at the events. And then as a result, we always are rewarding our vendor partners with either, again, those solid referrals. We like to take our vendor partners out, like, hey, we're doing a big event. We do a big event at the end of the year, the celebration event. We like to have our vendor partners there. So we have a very strong relationship with the vendor partners that we ask to partner with us, but we're also very strategic on not everybody can be our vendor partner. Some people will say, oh, yeah, I'll give you money. But it's like, no, it's more than that. Who do you actually want to work with? Because you have to close deals with these people. So we're very particular about who we allow on to be our vendor partners. Some people are going to, say, hey, I want to assist you, but eventually some of them may fall off. And that's just the truth. We want to be aligned with people that have a similar goal and a similar vision to the Yumi group. And so that's what we're always looking for in our vendor partners.
Yeah, it is more than how much money can you give or how many open houses can you sponsor. It
Yeah.
is who are you? What is your belief? What are your vision? What's your value system? What's your culture? And
Yeah.
is that in alignment with you as an organization? Excellent. Let's move to personal growth. So personal growth is just that. It is working on the 6 inches between your ears. Or it is also physical. Some people look at physical growth as part of the personal growth journey. Either way, it requires commitment. It requires a system. It requires focus. It requires effort. It requires you putting the time into reading or meeting with mentors or coaches or going to the gym or the things that really focus on growing you. Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate personal growth as a part of your business?
I'd say I'm at a 7.
Okay. What makes that
I,
a 7?
I have very scheduled routine when it comes to my workout. So I have had a personal trainer for the last 2.5 years. And even prior to me using him, I had someone else as a personal trainer. Um, as DJ mentioned, I'm a former Division 1 athlete. So I'll be honest with you, if I never saw a sport again, I would be okay. Like, trust me.
Yeah.
But I realize that it is a severe part of my dedication and just like my mental health to stay on that regimen to give me like a little outlet as well. So I'm very particular about my physical health. In terms of my reading, I am a student of the game. I like to learn a lot, but I really like to learn more so on the like one-to-one basis situation, kind of what Danielle was mentioning in the last earlier part of the session, where I will volunteer my time and say, hey, I just want to learn from you. Like, I want to see how you did that. And I'm willing to not have to be paid to do it. I am willing to just partner because I know that that mental growth is going to happen from me emulating the people that I find inspirational. I am trying to get better though right now into kind of reading my daily devotionals when it comes to actually like my religious beliefs. I believe it keeps me kind of grounded and centered. So I do start my day every day with reading a daily devotional now.
Excellent. What happens if you miss a day?
Of the
Like either
daily
miss
devotional.
the daily devotionals, of the exercise, of the meeting with the personal trainer. I mean,
Um,
what happens if you skip a beat?
your mind just kind of it's like you feel rushed. You don't feel like the routine is going to help you like center yourself. So I would say again, like especially with the daily devotional, reading it every morning. I read it at the same time every morning. Like I'm locked into it and it kind of just sets the tone for the day.
Okay. Does that have an impact on your time management or priority management?
It's starting to. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting how those things intertwine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's move into the systems quadrant. Transaction management. So this is from the point that you put a property under contract until it goes to close. It's all of the things in between, all of the stuff that has to happen in order to make a transaction successful. And I'm not just talking about the mechanics of it. I'm more so talking about the experience. I'm talking about the systems. I'm talking about the consistency. I'm talking about the leverage. How little time do you actually have to spend in transaction management? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your transaction management as a system?
Well, that's it's a little bit of way to I would say maybe I was thinking an 8 before you said how little time do I spend. So then I'm thinking, okay, am I at a 6? Because if you ideally want to be spending less time in the transaction management or or not, right? Um, so I guess maybe we'll settle and I'll put a 7 for that one
Okay.
too, because it's like right in the middle. I pride myself with my clients being able to kind of be accessible to them, right? So I don't have a transaction coordinator. I've never had anyone else step in and handle my transactions. I have a very routine approach to dealing with the front end of my clients. So most of the time, the majority of the work does come in on the transaction management side of things. So I prefer a more hands-on approach, actually. I like to be able to touch base with my clients every 2, 3 days and say, hey, this is where we are. We're one step away from the closing table, or we're 3 steps away. So yeah, I'll settle on a 7 on that one.
How would leveraging that out more impact your business?
I think it's the control freak in me that just won't allow me to get to that point yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Client care. So when we talk about client care, we don't necessarily talk about during the transaction. This is more the entire experience, right? From the moment that you meet them through identifying that they have a need for business through the transaction and then beyond the transaction. I like to equate that to if your business is a club, what does it feel like to be a member of your club? So on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your client care?
Human group is a 10 over here. Okay. Like this is where we pride ourselves. I know when I got into the business, that was my immediate like I want to give people more than just a transaction. I was like, if people know me from like when I first got in the industry, they know me as the girl who was on Facebook, going live on Facebook, like, hey cousin, like that was literally me to my clients or my future clients or prospect clients, because I want all of my clients to feel like they are family to me. I would treat you like the same way I would treat my mom. I would treat you the same way, your mom, I would treat your mom the way I would treat my mom, right? So my clients immediately have a different level of trust, I think, that buying an investment property, I think can sometimes even be a little bit scarier than buying a home, because now you're responsible for not just your lifestyle, but also the lifestyle of your tenants. And so I want to help my clients bring their guards down, because they're like on a 20,000 before they meet me. But when they meet me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you are really making this feel like I can do it," then I know I've already won. I've already closed the deal.
Okay. All right. And what is the biggest reward to having such a high focus on client care?
Oh my gosh, it's so cyclical to all of this, right? So the referrals are going to come back around. The events, just building a club is going to come back around. I'm going to continue to grow personally because I, believe it or not, love people, right? So the more people I get to interact with and hang out with, like that's my personal growth. Um, I mean, it's just if I wasn't, I live in my purpose when I'm doing this. That's the truth. And so by giving my clients that high level of care and precision, like that makes me sleep good at night. I don't go to bed with anxiety. Like, did I do enough? As long as I know my clients were like felt value from their interaction with me, I'm like, perfect. This
Okay.
is bringing joy to my life.
Okay. Let's switch to follow up. So follow up is that sacred time in between identifying somebody to talk to, and them deciding to do business with you, i.e., sign a listing agreement, a buyer brokerage agreement, etc. It's that middle time where there's opportunity one way or the other, and follow up needs to be very systematized. It needs to be very consistent. It needs to be very leveraged, because they say fortune is in the follow up.
Hmm.
Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your follow up?
8.
8. Okay. What are the main strengths of your follow up system?
I don't like to follow up with people and be like, "Oh, remember you said like last March, next March you're going to be ready to buy a house." I don't follow up with my clients in that way. I like to follow up with my clients again on their personal life, right? So I'll give a good example. I have a client right now. He's been following me on social media for quite some time. I've been seeing him, 9 times out of 10, if people come to my social media, they're kind of looking for like that thing, right? Which is investing in a multi-unit. So I noticed he's been following me. I'll go and I'll like his posts, right? I'm not gonna be scared to make the first move because that's gonna break the ice, and then he's gonna be like, okay, cool. Like she's nice, she's friendly. So that's my first little follow-up. As soon as I see them initially tag on to me, I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. I go into their page and I kind of like to see their likes and their interests. What do we have in common? Right. So, this particular client that I'm bringing up, he is a basketball coach for my former high school. And he, has been following me. He's like, I know a few people that you've worked with. I didn't even realize he went to my high school or worked in my high school initially when we kind of had some conversations. But now, as he's working through, like, okay, I had an initial conversation with you. I think I want to start getting pre approved. I follow up with him on the basis of, oh my God, I just saw you guys kill it in that game over the weekend. Like, amazing. I'm not saying, oh, are you ready yet? Are you ready to get a pre approval yet? No, I'm following up on like, I want to put my son in basketball. Like, what programs are you recommending? Or, oh, I'm doing an event next month. We're going to be like booking out a suite at the Bulls game. I would love it if you came through. So like my follow-ups again are persistent, but not in the persistent way that you would traditionally think, where it's like, oh, are you ready to buy or sell yet?
What resonates with me is that your follow up is relationship based, not transactional based.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move into the profitability quadrant. So, the first component of profitability is net worth. And when I talk about net worth, I am not saying, do you have all the money that you want to have? Okay.
Hmm.
What I'm talking about with the net worth is, number one, do you know what your net worth is? Number two, do you have an active strategy to grow your net worth? Number three, how much of your income is passive versus active? Number four, how well do you track and who holds you accountable to growing your net worth? Um, and then finally, do you feel that you are where you should be at this chapter in your life? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your net worth?
I would say I'm about an 8 on net
Okay.
worth. I do know what my net worth is because I constantly am kind of tracking it. Um, as you guys know, I'm more than just like a real estate agent, I'm also an investor, right? So when I start looking at my profitability, I also look into my assets that I currently own and what I'm looking to continue to acquire. So I use my real estate business obviously as like my job. This is my tool to continue to build assets. And along the way, I'm helping other people do the same thing. So again, I do keep track of my net worth. I'm constantly working on growing my net worth. I know sometimes as a real estate agent, we can pull away from ourselves to put it so much into our clients. But I really like to say, like, laser focus on to continue to build my portfolio as well.
In addition to investment properties, are there any other revenue streams or income generating streams that you have or are looking to grow?
Well, I did try, like crypto a little bit, but I'll be honest, I like to watch my money grow in the dirt. I really do. I feel like it's the most tangible, like I can see it growing. But I'm open, right? I tell everybody, like, if there's another investment strategy that I'm missing, I would totally be down. But like my family, like invests in real estate. So it's like I'm used to seeing that money in the dirt.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about your budget. So your budget is knowing how much it's going to cost for your organization to survive for the next 3 to 6 months. Your budget includes projections for growth or decline. Your budget should include projections for expenses, additional leverage, new systems as you continue to grow your organization. When I talk about budget as a system, I talk about not only do you have a budget, but how often do you review your budget? Who looks at your budget and holds you accountable to your budget? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your budget?
I would say 7.
7. Okay. What would it take to get your budget rating from a 7 to a 9?
Probably more digging into it a little bit more. It's a little bit passive right now on the budget.
What do you mean by passive?
It's not something that I'm looking at on a very like prominent basis. I just know that I'm like doing events or doing things that I'm not having to pay for. So those are things where I'm like, okay, it's still a solid budget. Like I'm not coming out of pocket to foot expenses in the business, but I'm not watching it on maybe like a monthly basis. Or I know some agents that are super like honed into their budget. I spent this, so I need to get this out of it. I'm not at that level yet, but I don't have to come out of my pocket for anything really related to my business right now.
Okay. And then let's talk about the P&L. So if the budget's looking forward, the P&L is looking backwards. If the budget is telling you what you plan to spend, the P&L is telling you what you spent.
Mhm.
And when we talk about P&L, I talk about not only do you have one, not only do you review it, but how systematized is your review? How leveraged is it? How much time do you have to put into allocating or classifying expenses or doing things of that nature? Um, who holds you accountable to your P&L and compares your P&L to a budget on a monthly or quarterly basis? Scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate the P&L component of your business?
I'm going to go right back to the time management side of things and give it a 4.
Okay. And why a 4?
I've never written out a P&L. I've reviewed it a few times, of Keller Williams, So I've reviewed what a P&L looks like. But again, I think because I don't see like me losing any money doing the business, I don't feel as um like tied to looking at a P&L statement because it's like I know I haven't lost any money because I haven't spent any money really, you know.
Okay. Okay. So as we look at the agent wheel overall, do you feel that this is an accurate representation of where your business stands today?
Yeah, I would say it looks pretty good.
What stands out to you?
Well, the wheel itself is very intertwined with one another, each positioning. So it's kind of like if you look at on this side, okay, they like balance each other, like they're usually around about the same score, um, except for the client care in the time management. Thank goodness the time management hasn't started impacting the client care yet.
Yet.
But all these things are very, again, they're cyclical. So you're going to have kind of that reflective view of each place. When you're falling short, you're going to see yourself fall short in the other component that's kind of reflective of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What stands out to you as far as the biggest opportunity right now? Not opportunity for the next 12 months or 5 years, but today. If there was an opportunity that you felt would have the biggest impact in your business, where would that opportunity lie?
I would say in the productivity quadrant,
Okay. More specifically, which one of those
time
3 components?
time management.
The time management. So why would how would improving time management change your world?
Oh, leaps and bounds. I think if I had better time management, I would be able to execute on the things like that are the side of the business that I don't want to work on, right? For example, the profitability standpoint, like that's kind of like a time strenuous, like it requires you to sit down at your desk and work on your business. I'm super used to still working in my business, right? So if I'm able to improve my time management to take a little bit of time from inside to looking outside, that would be ideally the goal to grow even more.
So what I'm hearing is that time management, improved time management would also give you the ability to focus more on the profitability quadrant. And so what would be the first step in improving your time management?
Mm. Well, Brent, no. That's what I'm asking you for. No, I would say the first step for me I think it's going to be boundaries.
Okay. And what does boundaries look like? What are some boundaries that you need to reset?
Um, some main boundaries that I would probably reset would just be, again, not agreeing to do everything on someone else's time and
Okay.
more so agreeing to do things on my time.
Okay. And so what would the steps be in order to reset those boundaries?
Hmm. Maybe have a better conversation when it comes to expectation.
And conversation with who?
My clients, my kids, my referral partners, just my partner, my husband, right? I'm balancing a lot of different things and I have to manage everyone's expectation because when people have mismanaged expectations, that's the biggest result of like a negative feeling for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the gap between expectations and reality is where resentment and pain lives, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
In addition to expectations, if there was one more thing that you could do to improve your time management, what would it be?
Probably to get over my anxiety and actually write stuff down. Like look at it, put it on paper, and like follow a more strict regimen.
Okay. All right. So if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist type of situation.
Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Is there anything as it relates to our conversation today? And this is maybe a little bit of a leading question. I'll cheat. Is there anything that you could see would be something that would be valuable for you to go ahead and put on your calendar on a regular and consistent basis because you know that it's an area that you need to put more focus into?
Well, like I say, probably with the P&L, I should probably be taking a look at it. I'm gonna say once a year, right? Let me at least start with once. That definitely would need to go on there. Um,
Do you usually look at that around tax time?
I leave it all up to the higher ups. Like I don't deal with it at all.
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay.
um, I probably
So
should start digging in a little bit.
so now that it is tax time, would this be a good opportunity for you to have implement a review time frame for your P&L?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So, um, I hear boundaries. I hear time blocking, putting specific things on the calendar. If there was a third thing that you could do in order to improve or move the needle on time management, what would it be?
Mm. I really feel like those are the big two things.
Okay. May I make a recommendation?
Please.
Improve your prioritization. Are you
Mm.
familiar with the Eisenhower metrics or the four quadrants of prioritization?
I'm not. Mm-mm.
Okay. So there's a concept called the Eisenhower metrics that talks about um, how urgent an activity is and how important it is that you do it.
Mm.
And when you think about activities that are very urgent and very important that you do it, then that falls into the first quadrant, the first D, which is do. If it's an activity that's urgent, but it's not important that you do it, that falls into the second quadrant, which is delegate.
Mhm.
If it's a project or task that is important for you to do, but it's not urgent, then that falls into the third quadrant, which is delay, i.e., put it on your calendar, time block an hour down the road to work on it. And then finally, that fourth quadrant, if it's not important that you do it and it's not urgent that you do it, delete, get it off of your list. Put it in that someday I'll do it sometime when I don't have anything better to do. But if you use that prioritization metrics in every moment that somebody comes to you and they say, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, or you even go to yourself and say, you know what, maybe I should do something. If you throw it through that Eisenhower metrics quadrant, then that will help you perfect your prioritization skills. And I find that time management is not a time management issue. We can't manage time. The 24 hours are going to come and go regardless of what you do
Regardless.
about it.
Hmm.
It is prioritization management. And when we can better effectively manage our priorities, then we can create those boundaries. We can prioritize the things that are most important and most urgent. And the rest of the stuff, yeah, we fit it into that white space as we can.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Melanie, anything else that I can do? Have I brought you some value? Have I helped you identify a couple of gaps that might move your business forward?
Yeah, I like this wheel. I haven't come across it before, even with my like own personal coaching. So this is interesting, and it's good to analyze your business in this way. So I liked it.
And Melanie, are do you have a team? Are you moving towards having a team?
So I do have a team, but it's just right now we're a duo. It's myself and my co-founder, Unique Gill. And so we started Yumi Group in 2022, and we have not brought on any additional support agents or TCs or anything like that. I would say it's something that we've discussed, but again, we're control freaks. So
Understand. Well, I tell you, I have a similar conversation or exercise that I lead brokers and owners and team leaders through,
Mhm.
even aspiring team leaders, because sometimes looking at it from a team leader perspective can help you maybe identify what 6, 12 months needs to look like in order to move towards that trajectory. If you would like, I would be happy to schedule a conversation as a follow-up to this, as a way of thanking you for the time today. I'd be happy to schedule a conversation and follow up and maybe walk you through that exercise.
I love that.
Absolutely. And to everybody else, if you have completed your agent wheel, if when we went through this conversation, you scored all your 12 areas of your business, and you would like to have a conversation about that, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and send me an email. It's Brent at tlrnation.com, Brent, Brent at tlrnation.com. If you send me an email with your agent wheel scores, then I will arrange for a one-on-one conversation with one of our locker room coaches to talk about your agent wheel and maybe identify some paths forward. So, Mel, I appreciate your time today. Is there anything else that I can do to bring value to you today?
No, I think you did an amazing job. I would just say I didn't write down my score. I'd love to have it. So if you guys maybe screenshot it or something, I'd appreciate it.
I'm gonna send you your wheel after we end our conversation.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate your time. DJ, thank you so much for the opportunity to lead this conversation.
Thank you both, Brent and Melanie. I hope everyone was following along. And if you did, or even if you didn't, the agent wheel is here in the chat. We will also email that out to everybody after the presentation. And everyone, Brent has just invited all of us to do this process. We all have areas of our business that we can improve. So send an email to Brent at tlrnation.com. That is put that in the chat and schedule time to get your own personal agent wheel. It's an amazing thing. I was following along, and I'll tell a quick story too. I was just yesterday doing an interview with this reminded me because of Melanie's her athletic past, I was doing an interview with a former professional skier, and she was a freestyle skier, and she was in the X Games, and she was very prominent. She had an injury that she had to end her career in her 20s, and now she's a top luxury agent in Denver. And I was asking her how she made the transition, and she said the coaching is all she's ever known. She's been on skis since she was a little girl. She grew up in Breckenridge, so she's always had coaches. And that, she said, I wouldn't have gotten to the X Games without coaching. She said, I wouldn't get to my where I'm at now in my business without a coach. In fact, she goes, I have 2 business coaches that I hire. So we know that coaching, that every athlete, Melanie has had coaches her whole life. And of course, everyone should have a coach as well. There's always things coaches can see that we can't. And having that other perspective of, somebody that can help you where you're getting stuck is, it is so invaluable. You can't do it all yourself, nor should you try. You need help. So I have a coach, and of course, Melanie has coaches, and we encourage all of you to have a coach as well. So shoot that email over to Brent@tlrnation.com. And Brent will follow up with you and get you into one of his coaching sessions or somebody on his team. Also, tlrnation.com is an amazing resource for brokerages. If there's anyone out there who doesn't have a great coaching system at their own brokerage, take a look to see what they offer. Talk to your managing broker. We have employed that here at KL Realty, the locker room. It is awesome. I can't even tell you how great it is. It has taken our training and coaching to a totally different level. I mean, we surveyed a bunch of programs before we landed on the locker room, and it just blew us away. So check them out. They're amazing. tlrnation.com. Brent, thanks again. Melanie, thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, and your dedication to this business. You are an inspiration. And I'm also a friend of Unique. So I'm a friend of your partner. I love Unique. She is as lovely as you are. And what a great team, what you guys are. I forgot you guys were team members. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. All right, guys, we will take a short break. We will be back in 10 minutes. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Coach Brett.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.